Good evening, guys. Welcome you all for the 12th edition of TED K'96. It's been 13 months and we took a break last month. Balaji was traveling, James was on vacation, and I was busy running my 100 days. So we are all back in action now, and so happy to see you all, to meet you all. And so today we're going to internalize than externalize. இதுவரைக்கும் நம்மளுடைய ஸ்கில் செட்ஸ் பற்றி நம்ம பேசிட்டு இருந்தோம். The subject matter experts that we are. But இன்னைக்கு we're going to talk about our lives and the special time that we have crossed over to, that is 50 years of age. So we're going to talk about turning 50 and what is special about that. And no better than Balaji to talk about it with us. He has now become a personal coach, a life coach, and he's been coaching business heads, both in their personal lives and in their corporate lives. And he's going to share with us a wealth of knowledge that he has acquired through his journey. It's been an illustrious journey for Bala. He occupied many positions, India and abroad, and then finally he was the global HR head of Good Hope Asia. And from there, he has turned to life coach and mentor for Indian businesses. He stays in Chennai and operates all over India. So without any further ado, I'm going to welcome Balaji to share about turning 50, growing up and not growing old. Welcome, Balaji.
Thank you so much, Sam. Thank you very much. At the outset, I would want to clarify that this entire thought about having to do a talk show on turning 50 came about when I turned 50 in July. So I usually on my birthdays, I write what had happened that particular year. And since it's a 50 year, I started writing what happened in my childhood, what happened in my 0 to 10 years, 10 to 20 years, and whatever I could remember. I was writing it down. And my children got very curious. They wanted to know. So, and I had shared with them about whatever I have assimilated over this last 50 years. So mostly I've been very honest and candid about writing things the way I felt it. In that experience, children were asking questions, doubts, and we were talking about it. And it was a very interesting discussion that I had with the children. So that's the time when I thought actually that the thought that struck my head immediately was that most of us would be 50, or if you're not 50 yet, you must be 50 in the next 12 months for sure. So while we turn into 50, 50 is a landmark age. Okay, so literally you have almost crossed majority of your life. So the thought about what did we want to do, what did we do in life, so what all have we experienced in life, and when you start writing, interestingly, I had a lot of moments while I was writing, I was smiling to myself. They're very joyous moments. You're smiling to yourself. There are some moments you feel sad. You could have done things better. You could have responded differently. You could have dealt with the situation differently. And the thought process. Another thought process is there are certain instances you feel they are cringe-worthy. Why did you even do this? But that tells you on the time later in the thought process, how you were, and the experiences were very, very interesting. So I was telling to myself that 50 is a number that you've achieved. Okay, now what do we do beyond 50? Okay, so I can either look forward for my retirement and retire in life, or I can also grow up. So I can be a different person. I can learn new things. I can do new things, and then it's an opportunity for me to grow up and not essentially merely growing old. It's a thought process that I had. So today I'm trying to share some of my thoughts with a simple mindset that I started off this discussion with Sampath and James, and also when we were talking, I was saying, today I actually feel that I'm 20, but I have 30 years of experience. It does not mean anything. It's just that how I feel at this point in time. So 20 as in thought process, 20 as in the kind of energy that I have, the 20 as in what I would want to do more in life is what this symbolizes. So hence, I mean, what am I wanting to share? I would want to place in front of you guys whatever I candidly feel about my life and insights, whatever I have got. So those insights is what I'm sharing. It's more a reflection of what all happened in my childhood, school days, college days, then work life, financial things with family, and where I stand today. So these are my personal experiences. Now, what this talk isn't is I am not here to teach, train, or preach. I'm not here to tell you that I'm a successful person. I'm not here to say that I'm a role model for people. All that would be a lie. I have had uh, an average life with some extraordinary moments. But my average life with extraordinary moments also has got me to think a lot, learn a lot. Fortunately, I've been able to meet people who are interesting, meet people from whom I can learn, and I have also been able to meet people and work with people in a very fruitful way. I would want to think about my own personal reflections and share that with you. Now, why? I mean, for you as audience, how does it matter? Now, as I told you, it's not a teaching, coaching, or any of that. I mean, I'm not here to do that because I don't think we are teachable when it comes to life lessons. I mean, so we have our own life lessons, right? All that I'm wanting to do in this session, while I'm sharing my personal experiences, you may have your own experiences that you could be reminded of. Some of the experiences might resonate with you. Some parts will essentially be, hey, this happened to me as well. And if during the course of this talk and after this talk, if it gets you to think, so let me reflect on my life journey for the last 50 years and what I've accomplished and what have I set out to do and what am I doing right now. If it gets you to think, then the purpose of this 45 minutes is useful. That is what I'm trying to do in this session. So irrespective of whether I was a HR head in a company, what positions I held, and what I do currently, irrespective of this, it's more a joy of sharing candidly with my classmates who have seen the good, bad, ugly of Balaji Chandrakumar during a course of my life, to tell you that this is what I see how my life is, not essentially to teach. So that is the perspective with which I'm sharing this. I hope that's okay with all of you.
Yes.
Yes, Balaji. Yes.
Right. So as I started writing, the first thing that I started writing is I had my oldest memories were from childhood, and I still can visualize that huge banner of Amitabh Bachchan on the launch of Sholay movie. Okay, so that I I'm able to visualize that. I mean, I think I recall that. So, and what happened during my childhood was very interesting. Now, as a parent and as a person who's 50 right now, so I firmly believe that your childhood becomes a foundation of who you become. Okay, that's my thinking at this point in time. Now, I would want to think of my childhood from two perspectives: what happened to me, and again also from how did that influence me to become a better parent or a good parent, or what is a benchmark that I've set up. But a couple of learnings that I've had from this is during my childhood, the person who, those days it used to be a very common thing. I'm not sure if parents ask this now. Whenever somebody comes home and whenever somebody meets, they ask this question saying, what is your aim? What is your ambition? What do you want to become in the future? Right? So my mom had been the person, and in my family, the most ambitious person is my mom. And interestingly, even today, she's ambitious. That's a very interesting story for a different talk. My mom is extremely ambitious, and she has been the person who drove the family forward into where we are today. ஆரம்ப காலத்துல இருந்து எங்க அம்மா எனக்கு சொல்லி வளர்த்த ஒரே விஷயம் என்னன்னா, பாலாஜி வில் பிகம் அ டாக்டர், யூ ஷுட் பி அ டாக்டர், யூ வில் பி அ டாக்டர், டாக்டர் டாக்டர் டாக்டர்னு சொல்லியே வளர்த்தாங்க. ஸோ எங்க அம்மா எப்படின்னா அந்த அந்த டாக்டர் ஆகணும்ன்ற அந்த ஒரு தாட் ப்ராசஸ்லேயே வளர்த்துட்டு, I never understood what doctors are, who they are, but except that over a period of time, there is a fascination for a white coat and a stethoscope around your neck. Okay, so on the initial thought process of wanting to be somebody was set by my mom. So, and over a period of time, I also realized that when my mom said that you need to be a doctor, what she says is, she always kept saying the doctor is the most respected profession. Doctor is the most respected profession of Bindanga. So the thought is, okay, so we need to become a doctor in order to be respected and be a respected person. That is the thought process with which I grew up. And while this happened, so I have also come to realize now that you learn two things from your parents. You learn two things from your parents. One is what to do. And number two is what not to do also is something that you learn from your parents. So from my parents, I surely did learn. Now, could have I learned better? Even today, I believe that my father is a better planned and an organized person coming from a bureaucrat background. He's so methodical, structured in the way he does things, and is filing, remarkable filing, so archiving, amazing talent. I mean, the way he does this. Okay, so there are a few things that we learn from parents, and I've also learned certain things that I would never want to be like my parents. Simple things is, I mean, so I remember my mom used to getting beaten up by my mom for after having to tell her that I scored 98 in maths. So, and எப்படி 2 மார்க் போச்சு அப்படின்ட்டு. ஸோ அண்ட் வந்து அந்த ஆன்சர் பேப்பர் பார்த்த அப்புறம் இன்னும் அடிச்சாங்க. கேர்லெஸ் மிஸ்டேக் அடின்னு அடிச்சது. அந்த தாட் ப்ராசஸ் ஐ ஸ்டில் ரிமெம்பர். அண்ட் வந்து மாம் யூஸ் டு சே, எந்த வேலையை பண்ணாலும் உருப்படியா பண்ணு, நுனிப்புல் மேயாத. I mean, don't think at a superficial surface level. Go deeper into what you're doing and pay attention and give your fullest effort while you're doing something. That was one significant learning, and that learning from a mom had still stuck with me. The other the thing is about expectations. So when your parents set expectations that is not compromisable, that is a standard that you need to live with. Now, every time when mark sheet comes, right? So it used to be a scary moment. I used to score well, study well, all of it, but then it used to be a scary moment because things can go saying why this mark has gone down, and my mom, dad, both of them would sit down and scold, and all of that used to happen. At the same time, when the score and performance is good, the reward for that was they will take me out for a dinner that particular day. And for me, I still remember that my dinner used to be faluda. So a biryani and a faluda used to be the reward, and you started looking for how do I win that reward at every point in time. Now I realize that much of my parenting with my children also has got shaped by what I learned from my parents. But then with age and experience and more exposure, I mean, I think we are more exposed than our parents, and our children are more exposed than what we are. So the way I dealt with my parents, my children is very, very different. But I think childhood gets rooted very, very well. And in Appak, government servant, he studied in a corporation school, and it was a joint family. My dad was a second in the family, and he took care of his brother's family, and then he got married, and then he got his brothers and sisters married. So it was a very tough situation. And because my father was also joint secretary to Karunanidhi at that time, so Karunanidhi election lose panni MJR vandaprom. So my father was also reverted. So when I mean reversal, so they put them back to a department and withhold salaries and things like that. So very tough time. So my dad was also doing part-time work and all of it. And Amma, the ambition, she insisted that I study in DAV. Okay, so because she has heard that DAV standards are good and it's a great school, and then she insisted that I put in DAV. And the DAV school admission, I know how my mom struggled. She really got it done. The admission ஆன அப்புறம் வந்து apparently my தாத்தாட்ட லாஸ்ட், என் பையன்லாம் கார்பரேஷன் ஸ்கூல்ல தான் படிச்சான், அவன் முன்னேறலையா, உன் பையனுக்கு என்ன, அவன் வந்து கான்வென்ட்ல தான் படிக்கணுமா, உன் பையன். So a lot of conversation. So apparently my mom has fought against all of it, and a significant portion of the salary was for my schooling. And I thank my mom today because that schooling was the one that laid foundation to me. And if I am able to speak confidently, fluently, some of the attributes that some of it I attribute to my early schooling. My early schooling was good. And another interesting thing that I remember from schooling days and my mom particularly is there was a competition that was happening, recitation competition, and my mom had always got me to enroll in this recitation competition, elocution competition, all of it. As a child, குப்பன் என்னும் ஒரு சிறுவன் குறும்புகள் செய்வதில் வல்லவனா அப்படின்னு ஒரு poem இருக்கு. So it is about how Kuppan eats banana and then he throws the peel on the floor and then somebody walks and then he skids and falls. அது எங்க அம்மா வந்து she trained me and she also got me to act that song, act that poem, and then I won the first prize. The biggest pleasure at that point in time I remember is my mom being so proud, and she would go to everybody and say, this is my son, now பண்ணுவான், uncle வந்திருக்காரு, அந்த poem பாடு, auntie வந்திருக்காங்க பாடு, அவங்க கிட்ட பாடு, getting me to perform in front of my relatives and all of it. So hence my first talent manager for me was my mom. So that is something that still strikes my head. When it comes to schooling, so schooling foundation matters a lot. But within schooling, like parents, right? In schools also, we learn a lot. And again, from teachers also, you learn what to do and what not to do from teachers as well. So I had teachers who were brilliant. And right from my first teacher, Mrs. Lalita, so to the last teacher whom I remember very vividly is Mr. Godan Raman, who was also my guide for my final year engineering project. So, I mean, all of them, or the teachers I remember very, very vividly, but these were tough people to deal with, and they were tough with you. So, and they set expectations which is so strong. So some of the experiences that I remember early in my school days, which I think shaped who I am as a person, was my chemistry teacher. One of my chemistry teachers, so this was in when I was studying in my 10th standard, my chemistry teacher was Miss Aruna, and she was so strict. And she will run the class முடிச்சப்பறம் immediately she will run a quiz, and when most people will fail and they get shamed. Okay, and I was a class people leader. And the class leader. என்னாச்சுன்னு தெரியல, அவங்களுக்கு ஒரு நாள் வந்தாங்க, வந்து she said, Balaji, get up. Co-ed school இருக்கேன். She gets me to stand up. And then she says, come and stand in front of the class. I go to the front of the class. She says that this is a person who is supposed to be leading this class. He's supposed to be managing this class. He's a school class people leader. Now look at his shirt. It's so dirty. It's not even ironed. Look at his trouser. It's not ironed properly. Look at his shoes. Dirty. And people like this are not fit for being class people leaders. So if class people leader is setting bad example, how can he expect other people to behave? That day was a day of shame I will never forget. So and all of it is happening in front of boys, girls. So a lot of people came and said that was பண்ண தப்பு, இது திட்டக்கூடாது, பப்ளிக்கா திட்டக்கூடாது, அந்த மாதிரிலாம் பேசிட்டு இருந்தாங்க. But for me, the only thing that happened is lunch break, I went home. I pressed my shirt, my trouser, and I think it's that moment which said that if you need to carry yourself as a person of some responsibility and some authority, the way you dress matters a lot. And the thought process came about. But adu mattum illa and the learning la. So she would, again, she'll someday call up and said, okay, so you're the class people leader. So tell me this, tell me that, tell me this. So if you do not know, you get ashamed. So a lot of people thought, okay, that she has got some vengeance on me, so she's insulting me. And some people went to complain to my mom also. Right? So but that's how it is. I mean, you need to manage. So I was going through. And there was an occasion when I had to perform a particular experiment and it did not work at all on that experiment. And that one had a very significant, and they're supposed to be my final 12th standard practical examination. So I was doing a mistake, careless mistake. Careless mistake. I'm doing the careless mistake again and again, but my results are not coming in and I'm getting nervous. she walks up to me and then says, Balaji, do you remember what you spoke in the class on this particular day? That is the experiment that you should think about when you're doing something like this. And then she left. She did not help. So that conversation was extremely helpful. And then I did score extremely well in chemistry. I scored 198 out of 200 in chemistry. So she was super proud of me at that point in time. And the only thought that came to my mind is, ma'am, thank you so much for how you demanded so much, you pushed so much. It was her who also created the first opportunity for me to act in a skit. And we went to an inter-school competition. We acted in a skit, and then we won a competition. And she helped me discover that I have this ability to be in dramatics. That's something that she also helped me discover. So a tough teacher would also teach you hard lessons that sticks with you for life. And there are other teachers who are like mentors, who do not give you a right solution, but then they ask you to think about it. So one such example is my maths tuition teacher called Murli. அவர் வந்து very interesting person. So I scored 200 out of 200 in maths in my 12th. The primary reason of that is Mr. Murli. Mr. Murli will get us to think, understand the problem, go to the root, understand what the basic concept is, and he would get us to work so hard. So, ஒரு டெஸ்ட் ப்ரிப்பேர் பண்ணிட்டு வந்தீங்கன்னா he will give you 3 tests. So 3 tests பண்ணி முடிச்சீங்கன்னா so மறுநாள் இன்னொரு 3 டெஸ்ட் இருக்கும். So there's no limits to which they were pushing. So, and I'm thankful for people like Arunamis, people like Murli. So Mr. Murli is a banker. He's not even a maths teacher. He was a banker. But somebody like him to help us realize that that is the intelligence that you have. You just need to stretch it a little more for you to get what you want to achieve. Having done all of this in life, but like I told you, my mom's ambition was always that I will be a doctor, and hence my ambition becomes that I would want to be a doctor. But life has its own course of time. I missed medicine by 0.45 marks. I missed the first time I missed it by 0.45 marks. I did not apply for engineering. My dad thought that it is not a good idea to apply for engineering and not even for any other colleges. By chance, I got an admission into Loyola College. So I was doing 1 year in Loyola. Second year, when I wrote the entrance examination, this time I lost it by 2 marks. So எங்க அம்மா கெஞ்சி கூத்தாடி வந்து ஏதாவது நீ இவ்வளவு மார்க்ஸ் வாங்கியிருக்க ஸ்கூல் டாப்பர் ஏன்டா வந்து nobody even believes that you are the person who's saying that you scored the school topper நம்ப மாட்டேங்கிறாங்க. At least ஒரு professional course பண்ணு. And those days 2 options, right? So it is either engineering or medicine. So medicine is not happening. So hence I've decided that there's no point waiting for medicine right now. So I then accepted that let me go and do engineering. And engineering, I wanted to stay away from my parents, and that's how I came to Karunya. Chennai in Karunya was Karunya. And my father had said the first time when he spoke, he said, Balaji, so you are good in whatever you're doing, but உனக்கு கேர்லெஸ்னஸ் ரொம்ப அதிகம், அவசரம் ரொம்ப அதிகம். அவசரப்படாம பண்ற விஷயத்த கேர்ஃபுல்லா கான்சியஸா பண்ணு. இப்போ உனக்கு இன்ஜினியரிங் பிடிக்கலன்றதுக்காக you have 2 choices. Either you don't have to study this engineering properly, or whatever you have got, do properly. So, and the thought process was also very, very clear, where I started believing that if you accept and take something, you might as well do a good job rather than doing a namke was job. So, பேருக்கு ஒரு வேலை பண்றோம் அப்படின்னு இல்லாம பண்றத ஒழுங்கா பண்ணு. So, ஒழுங்கா பண்ணனான்றது எனக்கு சொல்ல தெரியல. ஏன்னா வந்து பட் படிச்சேன். ஓகே, நான் எப்ப படிச்சேன் என்ன படிச்சேன்றது ரூம் மேட்ச் கூட தெரியாது. So, but all through I did not have an arrear. So I have a 76% overall. And I think I was decent in my education when I passed out my engineering time. And அப்பதான் realization வந்தது என்னன்னா, in life you don't get everything that you aspire for. Sometimes in life you also need to accept what you've got and fall in love with what you have right now in hand and do it and give your best shot. So see where it takes you. So sometimes the path that you wanted to walk is not the path that you have got, but there's a different path. But can you enjoy that path? Yes, you can. And go ahead. And this remains to be one core identity in my life. நான் நினைச்சது ஒண்ணு நடக்கிறது வேற, பட் ஆனா வந்து whatever I got, I've done certain things. I made use of some of these things. I will talk about it a little more. College life. So collegeல வந்து எனக்கு முக்கியமா 3 things that actually hit me very hard. ஒன்னு வந்து என்னன்னா, நான் லயோலா காலேஜ்ல இருந்து வந்த அப்புறம் வந்து I was a very cocky person from Madras. So Madras, and I got ragged so much because of the way I used to say Madras. எந்த ஊர் ராணி? Madras. சொல்லு, திருப்பி சொல்லு. Madras. So அந்த லாயலான சீனியர்ஸ் எல்லாம் போட்டு கிண்டில் பண்ணி இது பண்ணாங்க. பயங்கர ராகிங் நடந்தது. I was a very cocky, arrogant guy. So it took me some time to understand what it means to be with a group of people, a team of people, and live happily with that ecosystem. So what does it mean? There are different people, different thought process, different backgrounds, different thinking styles, different ambitions that they have, different kind of ethics when it comes to studies. Well, they are different people. But interestingly, I realized that I was surrounded by people who helped me shape a lot. So I need to talk about my roommates like Tyagu, Raja, Prabhu, Jabaraj, then Anand Balaji, Chelian, Muthu Subramaniam, பக்கத்து ரூம்ல இருந்த கோத்தா, so and நம்ம எஸ்கே இருக்கான் இல்லையா, இவன் கிச்சா, all these guys. I mean, so there was a lot of learnings that I've had from them, and then that humbled me to Bhaskar, for example. Bhaski actually was very helpful to moderate who I am. That was a very interesting thing. I mean, I got a lot of realization in life that time. At the same time, I was also part of the naughty gang. So the 141 room number. Okay, so we all had that side of it, and there are certain things that cannot change, but some of the aspects of me really changed with the kind of people that I had worked with. I mean, I learned a lot during that particular point in time, and it shaped. Today, that's one of the reasons I believe that my daughters, my children had to go live their life independently in hostels for them to learn what life is, and it really helps them to shape what they want to do in the future. College had also been a very important phase in my life, which unleashed my creativity. So these Banana Magicians, the culturals we did, the all India radio programs that I did, all of it really made me understand Balaji, apart from being who he is, can also be creative enough. And Chandrakumar Jyoti, for example, he was one of the first person with whom my creativity was done. I don't know if Sendil remembers that. We did a retreat program. And the retreat program, we were supposed to do a skit. So me, Chandrakumar Jyoti were the first people who created that idea. Then Jit and Nachiyappa and all came much later. And Wataps was acting in that as well. So then we moved on. But unfortunately, Sendil, he was not part of that gang. I don't know what actually happened, but something happened. He was not part of it. So this group, the Banana Magicians, also taught me a lot of how different people can come together and create magic. And did all the people in Banana Magicians very closely knit, close group of people, a band of brothers? No, we were not. We are very, very, very different guys. I mean, Arnachalam on one side, Pravish on the other side, Nachiyappa, Jit, me, all of us are very different people. And most of us are egoistic people. Rohit, Abraham. We were egoistic people, and for us to get to work together was difficult. But our common agenda on one, how the entire team comes together, how we let go of what we want to do when we discuss and come for a common objective. And the concept was, I had learned that in that particular period. And thankfully, I took up opportunities for me to organize things. So I learned about organizing things, mobilizing funds, all of it that happened during my college days. So I'm so thankful that happened, and I volunteered to do something like that. And during this period, I also had my crisis. Okay, so the same Banana Magicians having to challenge me, saying we will not go ahead and do the next year program, and we will do. And what happened and all is a different point of conversation, but that did happen. So then comes to work. Work to me was very interesting because I think I should again declare that my life principle had become, okay, when life gives you lemons, please make a lemonade and have it. So I finished engineering, and if you guys remember, I got through Air Force. So I had to be a pilot officer, all cleared, meet with an accident, and I'm supposed to be amputated. And I survived with that 1% hope, thanks to people, good people who were praying for me, who had come and prayed for me. So people like Sampath, for example. So, I mean, it was very miraculous that my leg actually survived. So, but then at that point in time, I had 3 job offers, one Air Force, Sundaram, Hyundai, and Rani TRW. All of it is gone. So from one side where you're going to be a very successful person to a person who's jobless, and I hated to be in sales. I never wanted a sales job, but the only job that I got was in sales and in Dunlop. So again, when life throws lemons at you, make a lemonade and do. Fortunately for me, because of my background of being with people, the extracurriculars, my ability to talk to people, being confident in talking to people, being confident to talk to strangers, and my schooling, I was able to talk and present myself well. So it helped me in sales. And I quickly became a regional manager, and then I grew further and further. And after a particular point in time, I realized that I became one of the sort of the sales and marketing training consultant in India. So, and I've trained close to about 4,000 people now. So far till date, I've trained about 4,000 people in sales and marketing in the country. So, which means I've run close to about 1,200 days of programs. That's what I've done. 1,200, 1,300 days of programs is what I've done. I mean, some of the leading IT companies, manufacturing companies, have done the programs. So sometimes what we want again doesn't come, but whatever you get, make the best out of what you get. The other aspect that I can't forget, and I think I got to be very conscious is, and thankful for, is your bosses make or break you. Like teachers, like parents, you also learn from your bosses what to do and what not to do. So I have been blessed to have some of the best bosses who have been my mentors, who have coached me. And on hindsight, I also realized that my willingness to learn, willingness to do, willingness to experiment, all of it had also really paved way for my. I've been amenable for my bosses to mentor. Let me put it that way. So my bosses were able to guide me. So good bosses do guide you. I surely think tough bosses, they refine you. They're hard to work with, but they refine you. And bad bosses will push you to move out of the place. So I've had a bad boss with whom I've worked, and I know it can be so toxic. It can affect you physically and mentally. So irrespective of the level at which you are. So, and my bad boss that I was talking about is something when I was a leader already in the company, part of a board. Okay, but the board, the boss had been so toxic, political, and all of it. So the thing with bosses is that they're like mother-in-law, right? You can choose who your spouse can be, but you can't choose who your mother-in-law is. Right? Bosses are like that. So you cannot choose your boss, but sometimes if you get a good boss, stick and leverage the most. If you get a bad boss, learn when to quit and then move on. I think that's also very, very critical, is what I have understood. And there have been points of time in my life where I'm extremely adventurous to take risks. So change jobs, move laterally from a very high-paying sales and marketing regional manager role to a frontline role in consulting. But I think that's one of the best decisions that I ever took. Though it dropped me in salary, it dropped me in terms of total number of people that I managed. But that shift did give me a great learning opportunity, and that shaped me into who I am today as well. And this also evolves over a period of time. There's a point in time when we think about career, and we move. There's a point in time you think about your children. And there's a point in time when you want to come back and say, no more. I mean, I want to live for myself. I want to do a work that fulfills me. So that's another important aspect, so which I realize now. So not essentially every opportunity is a great opportunity at every point in time. So an opportunity which is great at one point in time in your life is very, very different in another point in time. And that's how I believe that I've had my hand on entrepreneurship. So I've had my successful stint in entrepreneurship, but I also realized that the domain in which I belong, it's not a scalable business. It requires me to be a very boutique kind of an operator. So, and I think that is not the kind of entrepreneurship that I think I want to be in. So hence, I'm also conscious that entrepreneurship is not for everyone. Till the time I find an entrepreneurship idea that is big, significant enough, so I may not even want to enter into entrepreneurship at this point in time because of my life stage and my life curve. Family, without that, I don't think any person succeeds. So for us, family is the only thing that balances who we are. And I very casually mentioned this in a competition. We were in SNR cultural show, and it was a fashion show. And I made a mistake in the fashion show. And then the judge caught me making that mistake. And then I became a laughing stock. Everybody laughed. So, and we were winning overall. But then this is 10 points plus 10,000 rupees cash. And then I'm losing that. And the entire team was upset because I was a last minute addition because they wanted one more person to come in. So, and then I went in, handled the mic, and then I made a mistake. Right. So I got into, and they wanted me to come back into the stage again for a Q&A session. Because, I mean, they already made fun of me. They wanted to make more fun of me. But this time around, when I was about to enter, so the team leader for fashion show was Pravish. Pravish used only one word. He said, "Go kick their ass, Bala." So I remember that word. So I went in there, I had fun. And one of the questions they asked me is, tell me what your ambition in life is. So I was very quick. I said, my ambition in life is to have a peaceful life, a beautiful wife, and 2 little children. It came so spontaneously without me thinking. But then today on hindsight, what they call as a Pygmalion effect. So you aspire for something and you think that that's what it is for the future. And that realizes, I'm so thankful that that's what I have in life. So, and as an HR head of an organization and as a person who has managed teams, sizable teams, one of the concepts that it could be controversial when I say this, I believe that work-life balance is a myth. Okay, so why? Because we need work to take care of our life. And we need good life for you to be able to work very, very well. So hence, balancing that might not be the right thing, but coping up with work and being happy is a different thing. Work-life balance essentially is not only about number of working hours that we have in a week. It could also be about the kind of work that we do, with what kind of people that you work with, and what kind of bosses you work with, what kind of job you're doing. All of it also matters. So to me personally, I wish that I'm wrong, but then I personally believe that work-life balance is a myth. And when people try to find work-life balance, people then believe that one of the things had to be compromised. Some part of it is compromised for you to find the balance. As long as you're happy with that balance, life is okay. But the point is, happiness is also a moving target. And what gives you happiness at one point in time does not give you happiness for the future. So hence, people continuously are on the wheel like a mouse on a wheel. So we keep running up and down and get frustrated. Might as well think about how do you want to balance your needs at work, balance your needs at family, and maybe that's what work-life balance is, right? So I'm still figuring out work-life balance, right? So the thing that I've learned significantly about family is either it be your parents or your sister or your wife or your children, is sometimes me as a man, and particularly because I've been in sales, because I'm talkative, and I talk, and my wife talks less. So I have always had this thinking that whenever my wife talks something to me about a challenge or a problem, my role is to give her a solution. It took me some time to realize that, okay, when women tell you a problem, they don't expect you to solve it. They expect you to bloody listen, because they don't believe that you can solve it. They only want a person who can listen. So one of the realizations that I have in life is that with family members, with people where relationships matter, learn to listen more, and know when to stop talking and know when to talk. So that is learning that I have had in life. And the last piece is I got married very early. So like Rajendran got married first, and then he became a father. I got married. I became a father. All of us became very early. At 24, I had no maturity of being a husband. So, I mean, I was today on hindsight, when I think about it, could have I been a better husband to my wife? Yes. So, could have I been a better husband during a maternity? Oh, yes. So, I thought, at least for my first child, so I thought parenting is her responsibility and not mine, because I'm busy working, I'm in sales job, I travel, I'm tired, and I have the right and privilege to sleep through the night. And it is her duty to stay awake the whole night. So today, thinking back, I don't feel great about it. I'll tell my wife is that, okay, if I am a father now, I would be a better person. So there goes, Sendil, your cycling joke, if you're 123. The last part that I want, last but one part that I want to talk about is financials. So this has been one significant learning that I've had. I have had a lot of money. I have had no money. I have had enough money in the bank with no money to spend. So all kind of financial situations is something that I've been. And I think with this group, I could be candid and open to say that this is what I think has happened in my life, right? So to me, money matters. But more importantly, how you manage the money is more important. And unfortunately, I did not learn that from my parents. I mean, though my dad is extremely good in money management, so my mom is extremely good in saving. I learned neither of it. My dad is extremely good in budgeting. My mom is extremely good on managing. But at the time of marriage, children, so I didn't learn that piece. I learned it pretty late. So hence today, when I look at my life, I believe that money, it's like a marathon race. It's never a sprint. So you build slowly over a long period of time, thinking for the ultimate ambition that you have in life to save up in the future. And that's extremely important. And that short-term money making is something that would put you into problem. So my personal experience, my short-term punting that I did, have given me results, but then they are not sustainable results. And you don't, it's not something that you have earned because of the capability that you've built, but that sometimes that money comes because of a fluke. And money that is earned in fluke usually goes by fluke as well. So the other thing is, be prepared for setbacks when it comes to financially. So my personal life, while I was in Sri Lanka, so overnight, in a single night, the currency crashes, and I lost $200,000 in front of my eyes. It's a big, 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 big money. It just vanished in thin air. And I went through a difficult time trying to save the balance money that I have and try to get back the money. But whatever is gone is gone. So it's not going to, you can't do anything. The only option is what? You can sit and crib, or you move on in life. Okay, so that has happened. Okay, so, and this is hard-earned money. And what pains you more is that this is salary money, hard-earned money, you've saved it, and then you put the money to work, and that money is what is lost. And that hurts significantly. At the same time, I'm coming back to this point of being your own financial guru. So I also trusted people, my own relatives, to handle some of my funds. And I do not know if they are mishandled or whatever, because that person is no more, passed away. Then I realized that I have again lost a huge chunk of money here. So from wanting to be an investor in small businesses, now you suddenly realize that, okay, you're not ready there. So you need to replan your entire future, because you have a child education that is coming up. You have a child marriage your daughter's marriage that's coming up. So hence your planning will have to get totally realigned, and you need to think about it. And one thing that I believe that I've done decently well enough with my children is I've started them to learn to plan their financials very early in their life. And then I'm meticulous about it. So what I did not do what I did not learn from my parents. So I have ensured that my children will learn this very early. So wherein what my children are learning is what not to do, like dad. Okay, but at least what dad tells you to do, that is something that I'm enforcing them to do. So I hope they learn their lessons. But all that you could do is you can take the horse to water. But fortunately, two daughters, both of them, till now, they would listen to my advice. So hopefully it continues. The last one. So while I'm 50 now, I mean, so many of us. So like I told you at the beginning of the talk, I mean, I was saying 50 is just a number. Our spirit does not have an age. So I still feel young at heart. So I'm still playful. So even when I run my sessions, the kind of humor that comes in, the kind of playfulness that I display, even with my own family, the kind of playfulness that comes in when we meet as friends, the kind of chat we have, all of that brings youth in you, and there's a lot of youth left with us. And because we are 50 now, though your spirit could be 50, but your body is not 50, your spirit could be 20, your body is not 20. So one of the things I believe firmly is take care of your body, your spirit, as well as your mind. So your mental health, physical health, and spiritual health, all three of them are important. And spiritualness is not essentially only devotion that I'm talking about, but devotion to anything. Spiritualism is not essentially about God, right? So spiritualism can be anything that you really, really are passionate about. So I think that is something that's very important. If we have not figured that out, I think it becomes important to figure that out. And as we grow older, the mental faculties diminish. Your memory, how you recall certain things, your ability to do math, mental math, all of this slows down. Your ability to recall large numbers, all of it goes down, and it's research and proven. The only method they say that to keep your brain active is to put your brain to some exercise. Like how your body, if you put it exercise, it remains healthy, it remains young. So your brain also needs exercise. And the only way you can exercise your brain is to learn something, keep learning something, and share that with other people. And by learning, we keep growing. And when we share, we keep growing other people as well. So that is a great opportunity for us at this point in time when we turn 50. And like money, I believe investing in health early is also extremely important. And but I did not invest in health very early, but just because I've been a little energetic, enthusiastic, doing a few things. I mean, I have had my own share of fitness regimes and fitness things that I've done and not done consistently, and all of it that is in. But learning is like financial planning that's early. I think it's also important for us to educate our children to plan for health also early and and build the healthy habits very early in life. I think that's very important. I mean, so this is something that I would not compromise with my family. And last but not the least, I mean, I think if we are a community who can talk, who can share, who can laugh, I think that's the best moment. And that's one of the reasons why we come to a session like Relive, we laugh, we feel light about it, we dance, we feel light about it, we have a drink, and then we chat about a few things, we feel light about it. So a community talk, that's very important. That's one of the reasons why, this is one of the reasons why we wanted to have these TED Talk shows. That's also one of the reasons. Now, that's what I thought I will bring to the table today to talk to you. So, I mean, this is just a journey. So, and to me, since 50 is just a number, I still think I have miles to go before I sleep. And I have miles to go before I sleep. Thank you very much.
For candid journey, Balls. Let us, we spoke about imploding today than exploding. And it's good to implode at times, that gives you a reality check and fully assess to where you are. Even when you're having your regimes, going through your rigmarole, going through everyday schedule. But then when you implode like this, that is when, you're very thankful for the path that you travel. And as and when things happen at particular times, it has brought great disappointments. But then looking back today, it has been also appointments, that has led you through a path of where you are today and how we connect with each other. So wonderful. So when Balaji spoke about, this candid talk today, so I took a moment for myself, and then I started to write down a few things. And where should I start? Where should I start about, dissecting this particular milestone and seeing directions in your life? The first thing that occurred to me is, write a journal. And that is what I posted today also. And said, I started with writing a journal. And it's amazing, Bala, that you confirmed it, that you actually sat down, wrote a journal in July, and then, such light and insight came through. So great, guys. Let's look at the questions that has come through. James, to you.
I see the question from Ramesh. So nice point about listening, but I'm asked to actively listen, not just listen. Any tips? So, Ramesh, in listening, there are multiple types. Okay, so one is what you call as hearing, which means, this goes here, comes out here. Nothing remains with you. What we call as active listening is when the other person talks. The biggest barrier in listening is when the other person talks, usually the listener starts preparing for what next question to ask. So thereby not listening to the full statement of the person completely, but wanting to prepare for the next question. So when you say active listening is also called as suspended thinking. You suspend your thinking completely. You focus only on what is being said. Take a moment and then frame your question after that. Not be in a hurry to jump and ask the next question. So that is active listening. There is one other level, which is a higher level of listening, which is called as empathetic listening. So empathy, we always say, is putting yourself in other person's shoes, right? But for you to be empathetic, for you to put yourself in another person's shoes, the first thing that is required from you is to remove your own shoes. If you hold your shoes and then you still want to be in somebody else's shoes, that cannot happen. So hence, suspending your judgment, your thought process for some time, but being only attentive to what the other person says is the best form of learning, which could be active if it's not an emotional conversation. If it's an emotional conversation, be empathetic to feel exactly how the other person says. Hope I've answered, Ramesh.
Thank you. That's excellent.
So let me read one comment here from James. Thanks, Balaji, for selecting this topic, talking about it openly with us. I am glad you ended up in Karunya rather than becoming a doctor. India might have missed a good doctor, but we must have missed a good friend and a good batchmate. Hope you can come up with another talk, turning 70 with Balaji in the near future. So James's question is this: when you start losing something, you start gaining something. You have any similar thinking after turning 50?
Okay, so I read this in two forms. One is, for you to gain something, you need to lose something. Yeah, so for you to gain something, you need to lose something. Especially, this is an exercise lingo, right? So no pain, no gain. So kind of a thought process. Can you elaborate this a little more? I'm not really sure if I understood the question clearly, James.
Hey Balaji, let me help you here. Yeah, I have a very similar question. Sorry to interrupt, James and Balaji.
No
My
worries.
question was,
Thanks for
yeah,
helping.
you're welcome. Yeah, my question was, or my question is, how do you find purpose going forward, and be motivated? Because now work, money, family, none of this is in your, part of your daily life. And so how do you find motivated? I think maybe that helps. Thank you.
Very good. So, motivation is a vast topic, Sindhu. So, when you say motivation, the first realization that we need to get is nobody can motivate anybody. Only form of sustained motivation is self-motivation. And when we say that we can motivate somebody, what we mean is that we create an environment in which somebody is self-motivated. That's the only thing we do. So any form of sustained motivation is created by self. So your motivation does not exist in isolation, Jyoti. Your motivation does not exist in isolation for it to sustain for a long period of time. So motivation is driven by what your ambition is. What do you want to achieve? What do you want to do? A simple example, Jyoti. So you remember in Relive, we were having a drink that night. Okay, and we were chatting up, and after that we went to you, me, Bang, and all. We were talking. I don't know if you remember that. We were talking. So in that conversation, during that evening, one of them came and asked, Balaji, so that comment that they gave was a very interesting comment. I mean, he said, 30 years before, I saw you speak, and then I thought that when will I be able to speak like him, is what I thought. And even today, I'm thinking the same thing, is what the comment that person gave. So I thought, okay, so this is so somebody saying this, so felt happy, okay, thank you, we moved on. But the person didn't stop there. Then the person stopped and asked, Balaji, so now are you using the skill sets enough in your work, is what the person asked. So I gave him some reason, and then I moved on. But that thought stuck in my mind when I was traveling back from Coimbatore to Chennai that day. And then I realized that I don't put that to use at all. And that's one of the reasons today why I took a decision to come back and currently get into consulting right now, because this is something that I can do very well. So the point I'm trying to say is, for you to find a purpose never exists in isolation. It exists into what is it that you have as your ambition. At the same time, in that path of your ambition, what keeps you happy and how does it benefit others? All these three will have to come together. I would recommend you to read this book called Ikigai, Sindhu. Jyoti. So that's a book that I would recommend you to read, because I mean it's a very simple thing. But finding a purpose is something that you will have to see from what keeps you happy. Does it benefit you, and how does it benefit others? That would be one purpose. And that purpose can be motivated only when you see that your entire ecosystem is supported and they support you to be able to achieve what you want to do. Hope I've answered, Sindhu. Good, Jyoti.
Yes, Balaji. Thank you. Thanks for that answer. And by the way, yeah, I even visited Japan this April to get to know Ikigai firsthand. But yeah, that helped. Thank you.
Right. So the other question from Ramesh is, okay, when we have so much of information that's available, how do you stay curious? So, I mean, since Jyoti brought about this point on motivation, and then I was connecting motivation to ambition, right? And the other pillar to achieve your ambition. So what is ambition? Ambition is essentially the future self of you, future self of yourself, right? Your visualization of your future self. Ambition is any ambition is worthwhile ambition only if there is a significant difference from where you are today and where you want to be. And on many occasions, it has got to do with capabilities or abilities that we bring to the table. So today, what we do and what is it that we are supposed to be doing for the future? And that, Ramesh, can only be plugged. That capability that from here today, if it is this capability, I need to achieve a different set of capabilities. For me to move to a larger set of capabilities, I will acquire capabilities. The only way that we can acquire capabilities is through what we call as an orientation towards learning. It's an orientation towards learning, which means how do people learn? People learn from reading, people learn from observing, people learn from experimentation, people learn from listening from others, people learn from talking to others. And most important learning, interestingly, with our experience, Ramesh, is reflection. Thinking about what happened well and what could have been better. So the curiosity of learning is tied up again to your ambition. It's tied up again to what you want to be in the future. So what is it that you would want to do? And sometimes it could be genuinely, that curiosity can also be because, I mean, it's not essentially tied to an ambition, but something that makes you happy. That could be another thing that you could do. But that happiness-based learning and information is available in plenty. And today, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all of them are endless sources of such information that is available. But the challenge with that is it's not directed. So if it's directed, it has a connection to your, it becomes a learning orientation, which helps you to keep you motivated to achieve the outcomes that you want as an ambition. That's the connect that will come in. And it's a key leadership trait. Ramesh, it's a key leadership trait. And you will notice good leaders are also voracious readers.
Yeah.
They read a lot. And reading only helps you to think better. So good leaders are good learners as well. And the flip side, in a leadership, on the learning side, what we're talking here is, it's called nurturing, right? You nurture other people. Leaders learn, and then they nurture other people. And the interesting part of nurturing is, you can't nurture somebody when your own learning orientation is very low. So then your nurturing comes only to get a certain task completed, which could be important. I'm not discounting that. But you don't nurture somebody to grow. You nurture somebody to achieve something. Short-term activity is what people focus on. Good leaders, again, you'll notice they nurture people. And for somebody to nurture, learning orientation is a core competency.
Thanks.
Balaji, first question from Daniel Despon. He asked something of your talk. Balaji, please tell us about your parents' career to understand their background better. That's his first question.
Right. We missed out that question. So, Danny, I'll start from my dad. My dad is second out of the 9 children family. So, and his father was working with Simpsons. Okay, so, and my my Periappa, which is my dad's elder brother, he did not find a job for some time, and then he got a job in a government library, and then he retired as a librarian. So that's what happened. So my father was the second brother, and out of the 9 children, my father got into secretariat as a stenographer. And it so happened that when Karunanidhi was giving dictation, there were no other reporters who were available. So, and the seniors were very afraid to go. So they said that, okay, let's send this boy. So they thought that this boy will go and then get hammered and come back. My dad apparently has gone there, and then he has written the dictation. They were very impressed, and then they gave him an appointment in the CM's office immediately. So, and at the age of 23, my dad was working in the Chief Minister's office, and the salary those days was 1,200 rupees, which is more than my grandfather, who was working in Standard Chartered Bank. And that's how my grandfather saw my father. And my mom's side, my mom has got a younger sister, and then there's a younger brother. My mom is the eldest. And my mom got married to my dad and comes to a home which is filled with brothers, sisters, and all of it, a huge joint family. So hence, I mean, the first initial days have been tough. And after the regime shift happened, so my dad, apart from actually working in the Legislative Assembly, so he was also doing part-time shorthand teaching, typewriting teaching, and things like that. So he also to earn some part-time money. Okay, so they had the tough time at that point in time. And then over a period of time, they saved up, got the sisters, brothers married, they all left the nest, and then we built our own house, and then we moved on. So that's my dad, in terms of qualification. So he did his MA political science when he was 30 plus. My mom is a PUC, plus she was just getting admitted into Etraj when she got married. So hence she did not go to college. So that's where it is. Very modest, not so well-to-do family from my dad's side. My mom's side is upper middle class kind of a family.
Thank you, Balaji. I remember that, your father was a, senior person in the government, like, especially close to the DMK government. That's what I remember. So that's the reason I thought I'll, confirm with you or check with you. And sorry, actually, I am not in the video because I just came back after my mother's, funeral and Thanksgiving and all that today to Muscat. So, had a horrible, flight from Chennai to Trivandrum to Muscat. The flight got delayed by more than 3 hours, and then, finally landed a few hours back in Muscat. So that's why I could not be on the video. But the thing is, when you are talking about journaling and all that, like, my father-in-law, used to have a very good habit, which, he passed on to his, children and in-laws also. Like, at the end of the year, before we go to the New Year service, we do the journaling of whatever, good things happened throughout the year, starting from January till December. And, that is actually a very good way of remembering whatever happened throughout the year and, thank God for. And, when you said about journaling your life, I thought, this is in line with what we are doing on an annual basis. But I think life journal is a more, serious thing and, more detailed thing. And I think all of us, can do that kind of a thing. And, it will be helpful for us to grow as, individuals and also provide direction for the rest of our life. So just as you said, age is just a number. And then, we still have a lot left to, do in our life. And I think we all have milestones.
Well said. And thank you so much for. And in spite of, I know that you come from, you had a difficult situation, so we understand. Thank you so much for coming in. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Balaji.
I have a question.
Okay, Arnish, go ahead.
You have been training so many people, right? You said you trained about 4,000 people and stuff like that. So one thing basic in life is when we try to do something, we aim for perfection, correct? So so is it better to strive for perfection or accept mediocre things and then find happiness in what we do? What do you see?
That's an amazing question, Arnish. So
the reason I ask is, I'll tell you, the reason I ask is when you aim for perfection and you don't get it, you get disappointed. Yeah. So that is one thing. So we need to know how to handle disappointment. And today I was watching I was reading a very interesting Zen story. And so they said, oh, don't do this, don't do that. And you know how it is. So because you've been training so many minds, I just wanted to, ask you this question.
So let me respond to this from two perspectives. Okay, one, is perfection important in what we do? I think yes. So I think perfection is important. Hello?
Yeah, good, Balaji.
Yes, Balaji, we can hear you.
Yeah. So is perfection good in whatever we do? Yes. So striving for perfection is one. Striving for perfection is one. Second thing is caught up on perfection is another thing, right? So now, for example, I used to work with a boss who wants all data to be provided for him before he will make the final decision. So since you come from a data background, Arnish, so is it practically possible that we can get all data that is required for you to make decisions for the future? You can make decisions for the current situation based on past data. Getting past data is okay, but about the future data, so he would want all data to come in and he'll wait for it. Because of which we have seen we lose opportunity significantly because of his greed for data. So why that comes in is because he wants to make a perfect pitch to something. That is one. I have seen leaders who are willing to go and say that I do not have all the information, but here is my hypothesis. And I'm willing to experiment this hypothesis, and I may succeed or I may fail. And be able to convince the board to actually take decisions. Right? So I'm giving you two contrasting examples. Somebody is waiting for all data to come in for them to make a perfect solution. And another person is saying that, okay, this is the information I have. Based on this is my hypothesis. And I am willing to experiment on this hypothesis. And this is the way I am planning to execute this. And I have seen how boards make decisions based on hypothesis. Getting stuck on perfection can make somebody so caught up on perfection that they become unhappy with anything and everything they do. Number one. Number two is in the pursuit of excellence, in the pursuit of perfection, you will notice that perfection also is like a moving target. Because it's a point-in-time view, right? Perfection is at a point-in-time view. So it keeps on moving. Okay, so hence, it can create a lot of self-doubt in somebody's mind. And thereby, you will find the people who aspire for absolute quality, absolute perfection, suffering from low self-esteem as leaders. This is something that you will notice. And you'll find leaders who are willing to take some kind of a gut thought process with, okay, that I have this kind of information, I am willing to experiment with this data, and I have an hypothesis, and I think I'm willing to experiment that, and I'm willing to take a risk. Okay, so a risk, your risk appetite of a leader changes depending on how much you attribute yourself to a perfect outcome that you want, which in your case is perfection, and for a risk appetite for somebody who is willing to achieve a specific outcome and knowing why that particular outcome is important makes that leader to be willing to exercise more risk. That's a difference. So what happens is leaders of very high perfection expectation would be very risk averse. Leaders with optimal risk-taking ability are usually willing to work with data, which is not 100% there, but they need data, but they need data to build their hypothesis for them to move forward. That's something that I've seen.
Super. Thank you.
So Anand here, Anand Samuel here. Hey Balaji, very thought-provoking session, man. I'm doing well, thank you. It was really truly inspiring. Amazed by the journey that you have gone through, man. Excellent job. I don't have any questions, but I'd like to just bring back one memory. I think it is the year 2000. Is there a job of being settled on a parva? I was just thinking, or a specific job posting on the walk-in interview. I was just thinking, should I even go? I was just thinking. Then I just called Balaji. And then just 5 minutes of talk, okay? The way he nurtured me in that 5 minutes is what I am today. And there was a short period of time, like he said, Anand, you can do it. And it followed by lots and lots of tips that he gave me. And then I did go for the interview. Out of 1,200 people who walked in for the interview, I was the one who was chosen among 3. So thank you, Balaji. So you play a major role in what I am today. So thank you for that, okay? All the best.
Thank you so much Thank you so much. I just saw Kenin here. So Sounder is also there. So Sounder was first year I was not feeling well one night. Sounder was so caring. He gave me a medicine, but neither did he realize, nor did I realize that I'm allergic to that particular medicine, aspirin. சாப்பிட்டு மூஞ்சி கிஞ்செல்லாம் வீங்கி போய் so Sounder அந்த நைட் தூக்கிட்டு போய் ஹாஸ்பிட்டல்ல கொண்டு போய் அட்மிட் பண்ணி I don't know whether he's listening to it, but then Sounder had played a vital role at that point in time.
Yeah, he's coming.
I'm listening, Balaji. Nice to hear.
Again, thank you, Bals, for a great time of insight. And surely, it looks like, when we introspect, things slow down. But this is exactly from where you get all your energy and strength to move forward. And a beautiful explanation about perfection. And I believe you mirrored it with idealism. Idealism is, trying to be that perfect in ideal circumstance to, hit the target. But sometimes when the table is all shaky, to make it perfect, make it a perfect table, all you need is a small pebble to put it under, the shaky leg, and then it becomes a perfect table. So that's how I view perfection, and that's how, if one of you will think about your marriages, you all had perfect marriages, right? But was all the chairs in the same line or row, or somebody missed the bus, somebody came late because of their train? All adds to just having a very perfect, ceremony. That's how it is. Beautiful, beautiful insight about life, Balls, and I am all enthused and geared up to see the next years unfold. So amazing, literally amazing. Enjoyed it, Balls. So implosions are significant. Implosions are very significant in life. Journal is something that has hit the mark. We have had groups to start exercising together, travel together, and then, some of you guys, gentlemen, and then party together and all. But I think putting your thoughts together and then starting to journal, I think that's a new initiative in Kitwood, and we need to get serious about it, guys. I think journaling will give us a lot of insight and self-learning, to go forward, looking forward to the next years of our life. So thank you so much, Balls. Thank you all, guys.